Welcome everybody to the Charlie West Wrestling Show. I am your host, Charlie West, and this is my co-host for this particular show, the Supreme Ozzy Blaze.
What's good? Let's do it.
So,
Dream matches.
Absolutely. This is where we talk about the things we like or dislike about wrestling. This time we're doing a top 10, as Ozzy said. Top 10 dream matches that never happened, that we never got to see.
Yep. A lot of them should have. Some of them probably could have never happened, but a lot of them on here, a lot of the ones I have, should have happened, and we just didn't get them.
Yeah, I think there's definitely two ways of looking at it. There's dream matches where people were in the same place at the same time, we never got it.
Like the whole Tyson Ali argument. Right.
And then there are times when we have, it literally couldn't have happened. Like some of these ones, like literally one wrestler possibly died before the other wrestler was born.
No, spoiler alert.
Yes, it's my Lou Fez versus Austin Theory. It's gonna be big.
That would have been good.
Yes. So, as always, we start with 10. We go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. If my number 10 happens to be Ozzy's number 7, he won't bring that up then. He'll just reveal it as the time comes. I mean, I think here, there's a chance that we could have double-ups. Yeah. I also think there's a chance that we might not. Because I think we're going to have a lot of the same wrestlers pop up, but maybe in different combinations.
Sure, exactly.
Because I've also tried to keep it so I don't have a same wrestler more than about twice, because otherwise this literally would have been like the one wrestler from the 80s I really liked versus the 10 wrestlers from the 2000s, or vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I tried to mix it up. I got a couple repeats, but some of them are inevitable.
Yeah. So, should we go to number 10?
Yeah, let's go.
So, my number 10 is... I would say it's a match I really, really think would be fantastic.
Okay.
It's kind of one of the ones that almost happened.
Okay.
And technically, of all the ones on my list, is the one that still could happen, but it won't.
I think I know what you're going to say.
It's Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, that would have been... I don't have that one. That would have been good, though.
Yeah, I just think that time, like, leading up to one of the Royal Rumbles, I believe, like, before Shawn came out of retirement.
Yeah, I remember there was a chance it could have happened, but no one wants to see, like, bald HBK against... AJ Styles, soccer mom hair AJ Styles. That's
true, but I mean, if AJ can carry The Undertaker to a good match, then he can carry a 55-year-old Shawn.
Yeah,
but no,
it's too bad you couldn't have, even like the end of Shawn's career.
Yeah,
you couldn't have got AJ to come over then.
Exactly. If I mean, imagine the matches you would have got if TNA AJ Styles had come to WWE. Confident enough to get the spot he was given,
even before he went to Japan, right? Like if he had went to WWE then, I can't remember the years. I think Shawn was already done, but maybe you could have brought Shawn back. Then
it's just unfortunate that if that had happened, AJ probably would have been one of the nobody mid-carders because he hadn't established himself as I am this damn good.
Yeah, and he wasn't that big at the time. Vince was pushing the big guys, but imagine you could have got, AJ. Daniel Bryan then. Maybe we didn't get that, did we?
I don't know. Did Daniel Bryan retire by then? We may have got it.
Yeah. But you could have got like AJ and Shawn.
Yeah.
A better AJ Taker, like a proper AJ Taker match.
AJ Edge back when we didn't think that was going to be possible anymore. Yeah. Like there's a lot of stuff. But AJ Shawn Michaels, I think that just would be a really, really good match.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, my number 10. Brock Lesnar versus Vader.
Ooh.
Imagine those two guys, those suplexes that they would have thrown. And this is early 90s Vader, but imagine you have him with Cornette, and you've got Brock with Heyman as just a wrestling match. Just main event, championship, whatever. Brock versus Vader. That would have been like a real fight.
Oh, they would have murdered each other.
Yeah, right? And imagine the promos leading up to that. If you had Heyman and Cornette, they could have rekindled their rivalry from the 80s. Would have been amazing.
Yeah, oh no, definitely. That's like Vader's one of those people where like you could put him with a lot of people right now and be like when you've got this time of the high flying big guy that you have now.
Exactly.
And just think what
and him with a smaller big guy, the moves they would have done. Like this is probably my one that couldn't have happened. Right. No, I got another one here that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But this would have been one of mine that if you had peak Brock versus peak Vader. It would have been something fucking crazy. It would have been amazing.
Yes. So I think a lot of mine actually could never have happened. But my number 9 is... This is not like the showcase match. This match was never going to headline a main event, headline a pay-per-view.
Okay.
But I think when you talk about star ratings, like matches that would be 5-star, 6-star, whatever else.
7 stars, 8 stars.
I think especially in the WWE style of matches and how WWE does matches, this could have been one of the best matches of all time.
Okay.
And it is two underrated wrestlers from their periods, especially the one now, the guy from the modern era. This guy is so underrated because of how well he sells, how good he makes everyone look.
If you say The Miz, I'm...
No. But when you think about how good Dolph Ziggler makes even the most average wrestler look...
Dolph Ziggler made your dream match list. Okay, let's hear it.
Put him with Mr. Perfect.
That's a good... Okay,
right.
I'll give you that. They kind of look the same.
Yeah, just that actually the way they would gel in the ring.
Who goes over?
I think it depends on the era, but probably Perfect because Ziggler,
Perfect goes
like they're
over.
both amazing
For the
Ziggler,
Intercontinental.
Yeah, and Ziggler looks so good losing. Like that's why Ziggler doesn't have the reputation he should have. He looks too good losing matches.
Yeah, and that's what they've put him as. And the thing with that match though, who's the heel, who's the face? I guess Ziggler's the face. Mr. Perfect was horrible as a face. Yeah, you can't be called Mr. Perfect and be a face.
Exactly. Ziggler can pull off face in the right like areas.
It would have been a good match, but you're definitely right. That's not a marquee match.
No, it's
not going to sell out.
Yeah, it's not a match that WWE would push as it's the dream match, first time ever.
But it would have been good.
But yeah,
it would have been a good match. Okay, I'll give you that one. All right, my next one is really because of the background behind for this story.
Right.
Triple H versus the Macho Man. Maybe not Stephanie on a pole, but like maybe Stephanie's involved. Right, you know the whole background story is that Savage might have...
There's the open, it's not official, but yeah.
Right. So I did a little bit of research on the dates just to see how this lined up. So Savage left WWF at the end of October 1994. Stephanie had just turned 18. Savage was in his early 40s. You know, did it happen when she was like 17 or 18? I don't know. Did Savage bang Stephanie? Did he not? I don't know. I wasn't there.
Right.
But... you know, everyone talks about it, and if you think about it, would this have been a good match? Triple H versus Savage? I think if Savage had came back during the invasion or after WCW folded, remember he was in Spider-Man, he was bonesawed, he was jacked.
Yes.
Imagine, like, they did the Triple H Scott Steiner feud, which was shit. Imagine Triple H Savage. And say WrestleMania 19 was when Triple H was on that world title run.
Yeah.
You brought Savage back then, looking like fucking bonesaw. You had Flair with Triple H. You don't even need to add the Stephanie part. Maybe you bring that in if you just want to work all the internet marks.
Yeah.
I think that could have been a great match.
I agree. I think storyline or shoot events aside, that would be an amazing match. Without trying to spoil what could be on either of our lists, just Macho Man versus the Clique in general, right? Just any of those people. Like he disappeared from WWF just as the Clique got going.
Turned into the Clique, yeah.
And probably in WCW, they had an interesting take on Randy Savage. And I much prefer the idea of Macho Man than Randy Savage for me. But
he was still called the Macho Man, but he wasn't. He was a bit different.
Yeah.
So Triple H Savage. I think with the backstory, there could have been some heat. You could have done it the shoot way.
Yeah.
Or you could have just done that early 2000 Triple H when he was a heel. You bring back Savage then. I think that's when it would have meant the most.
Yeah, exactly. And just that thing where like you have like Triple H lining up all the big WCW guys and knocking them all down. Like,
Booker T, Steiner, and then like Savage could have been the one.
The big one, right?
Yeah, that could have been pretty sick actually, especially with the interactions with Flair because that's one of the best. I don't know, so it's one of the best.
No, I can get on board with that.
Do you think Randy gave Stephanie the oh yeah?
No comment.
Yeah, don't care. It's funny. It's funny to say. It's funny that it's a thing. It's funny that that's a rumor to me. Don't care if it's true or not.
It's fair enough. Number 8 for me is whereas number 9 was all about the match that would happen.
Okay.
This one should main event a pay-per-view. This one should like the build up to it, the promos to it, like the talkers that you have here.
Okay.
Like the nature of like a guy right now who who's just come back into wrestling after 7 years, and the way that he can talk and light up a promo any way he wishes versus arguably the best promo of all time, especially when you are working into a shoot and shooting into a...
Punk versus Piper?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
Like just the whole like that wouldn't just be because of like what you get for 25 minutes in a ring. Yeah. It'd be the whole build up, what they say to
and who would have been the face, who would have been the heel, who know you could write it either way.
Yeah, it would just be that whole shooting into a working into a shoot, like whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, Piper Punk. I don't have that one. That's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, no, I was just there
Really
going
good.
like, if I was having Piper, like Piper's gonna be on my list. Like, who would I go? It's like Piper talks. Who would I want Piper to talk against?
Punk.
And it's just there. It's like just let them both be like, script is done. Just
go.
decide. Yeah.
Sell this match. Yeah, I like that. I think it would have been a good match too. Okay, my number 8, Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels. And
Right, 'cause it's teacher versus student.
yeah,
Right?
exactly. And there's a few times you could have done this, but right when
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan was getting hot, Shawn hadn't cut his hair off yet. Too bad they didn't do it.
It is.
Would have been, it would have been an incredible match, and it would have got Daniel Bryan over.
Oh, definitely. It's
So big.
It's and you have to think like because he trained him or whatever
Yeah.
else. There must be footage out there of these two like wrestling each other.
Yeah,
and
imagine they
different
brought that
things.
back at
Just-
WrestleMania 30 was when Daniel Bryan
Yeah.
had his big moment, but in around that time,
Yeah.
they could have. You probably would have to do that at Mania.
Yeah, definitely. It would be
Right.
one of those things where like it would be like the 2010s equivalent of when they did Angle versus HBK, right? It'd be that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just having like the HBK, the guy, the Mania guy against like this guy is the best wrestler
Sure.
that we have right now.
And let's see what they can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And the teacher versus student storyline just kind of writes itself.
Yeah, of course it does. It's like this, like you bring in other students from the HBK stall, and you'd be like, this guy was better than you. Like have Daniel Bryan go through
Yeah.
whoever those people may be.
Yeah. It writes
Yeah.
itself, and you know the match is going to pay off.
Yeah, excellent. It would be fantastic, right?
Yeah. When that could have happened, who knows? But
It's something. Yeah,
it could have happened.
yeah. It would have been fantastic to happen.
Yeah.
Especially if it was like say when both of them were at their peak.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, that's what you say for all of these, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, nah. I wanted it to happen when Daniel Bryan was so concussed he wasn't allowed to wrestle,
But
and HBK was retired.
When he
That's
was
the perfect
when
time,
he was
yeah.
winning his championship belt, and
Yeah.
they did a thing on a Raw, I think, where Shawn gave him a super kick maybe, or he put Shawn in the label lock.
Yeah, they must have done.
They had some
something like that,
interaction during that time when he was getting screwed out of the matches by Orton. So
Yeah.
it could have happened. You put it on a big show, that could have got Bryan to the next level.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
put Daniel Bryan in the ring with someone, and it makes Daniel Bryan look better.
Yeah.
Put him in a ring with someone who is as good as him.
Well, you put Bryan in the ring with someone that makes them look the
Yeah.
other guy look better.
Definitely. So my number 7. So you've already mentioned one of these wrestlers.
Okay.
With this idea of just like bringing them into the modern era of wrestling because they are before their time in like how they can fly
Vader.
at a certain but I went for a certain thing that I went for like of all the big guys happening right now,
Yeah.
especially before he got COVID, like of the big guys that can fly in the ring right now, Keith Lee.
Keith Lee versus Vader.
Yeah, Keith Lee versus Vader.
It'd look cool.
It would look cool, yeah, like
There's no way you wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, the stuff they could do, like because the way they could flip, like the way that Vader could moonsault,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, like those two could almost pull off like a top rope Spanish fly, right? As two super
Such a
heavyweights.
mark.
just
Why would
go.
that's such a stupid move?
It is a stupid move, but
it
like-
takes so much cooperation. I think that's a
Yeah.
dumb move.
Fair enough,
But
like,
the spectacle of seeing two
yeah,
guys that
the
big
spectacle of two
pull that
guys
move off.
doing something they should not be doing, they have no right in doing.
Yeah,
and
I think
just-
seeing Vader hit like a moonsault on him and those
Yeah.
two fat guys bouncing off each other.
Just that thing, I think, because
car crash.
I was so close to doing Keith Lee and Bam Bam for the exact same reasons of doing like Bam Bam Bigelow, Vader, both of those guys in today's modern era fighting the big guys that can go.
The question is like, would two guys, just because they look similar, would they have a good match?
It's a good question.
Because you look at like Shawn may say Sting and Vader, right? Like they were different
Yeah.
sizes, they get good matches. Shawn and Vader. Some people think it was a shit match, but
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I was there. I was down to
Yeah.
see Shawn take on Vader. I thought he could lose to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, but I think I'd pay to see it, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was Keith Lee and Vader, I want to see it.
Yeah, because you'd be like, these guys can do crazy stuff
Yeah,
when they're
it's
like,
definitely not a WrestleMania main event. It's like
yeah,
it's on Nitro or it's
Yes.
it's on Rampage. It's on Dynamite. I don't even know.
it's when they bring Vader in and put him on NXT.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
exactly. But good match though. Okay,
Yeah.
where are we at here? 7?
yes, 7.
7. Okay, this match, because everyone calls it a dream match, it's not higher on my list because it's just doesn't matter so much to me.
Yeah.
But Undertaker and Sting.
Yeah, okay, that's like the classic one, right?
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it is. It's a dream match we missed, right?
Yeah.
Like, when should they have done it, I think is the question. WrestleMania 27, it was in Atlanta. That's when all the rumors were. That's when Triple H fought Taker. That would have been, that was the last time it would have made sense.
Yes.
And been good. Like, I think Sting fucked up by going to TNA for all those years.
Yeah.
If he had have come into WWE just a little bit earlier, Sting Taker could have had a run. Like, that could have been 2 WrestleMania main events.
Oh, it could have been so much stuff, right? Like what they did. It's I mean, he'll always have his reasons. Like I say, he saw all of WCW get completely wiped out. Like, maybe he was like, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, but he went and worked with Jeff Jarrett, like on Slammiversary, instead of main eventing WrestleManias.
Like
WrestleManias with The Undertaker,
When
Shawn Michaels, Triple H.
Definitely. When he had that match with Jeff Hardy, where Jeff Hardy just turned up unfit to do anything.
Sting could still go then, couldn't he?
Yeah,
like, I didn't watch TNA, but I think he would have been okay at WrestleMania as opposed to when he came in.
Yeah, definitely.
It's an embarrassment.
Like, because
you're going to job to Triple H either way.
Yes.
But, like, it would have been better to do it when...
Yeah, and he could have done what Booker T did, like get over his little "you were in WCW, here's your punishment."
And I think they would have treated Sting a bit better, right? Like, Sting would have been. They could have found a way to make Sting, cool.
I mean, hell,
I think the Crow gimmick in general.
Yeah.
I love the build up to Starrcade '97.
Yeah.
But you could argue after that is a flop of a run, and Sting was out for a long time, and when he came back, he just didn't have the same Stingness to him because he was the Crow.
Exactly that thing, but like Sting doing that stuff, like doing that against like Evolution or something, like tease him doing another run with Flair, have him
You
like
could have done that. Yeah, you would have had a few Raw matches.
Yeah,
imagine they even just put that on a pay-per-view. Like, Sting should have came back then. It was
you build up Sting versus Triple H by having him fight Flair first and whatever else, and doing stuff with the Undertaker.
Yeah, it would have made too much sense.
Yeah,
right. Like,
it's not on my list because it's so well known.
I put it on there because I put it low, thinking it might be one of your top ones.
I didn't, because also it was like I had that technicality of like Mark Calloway fought Sting, I believe, at one point.
It's not the Undertaker.
I know, but
it would have been good. I think WrestleMania 27 would have been the chance to do it.
Yeah,
the last chance, and it would have been good. But too bad Sting didn't come for those other years because.
Yeah,
could have had some awesome matches.
It would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah, he fucked up.
So my number 6, so like in the way that like my number 8 was, even though they're great wrestlers, was like Mike Work versus Mike Work, and my number 7 was big guy that can fly versus big guy that can fly. Mm-hmm. My number 6 is charisma versus charisma.
Okay.
And when you think of like the most charismatic wrestler of the 21st century, who is now like the most charismatic actor of the 21st century.
Jinder Mahal.
Exactly, absolutely. Jinder Mahal, like just the way that he conquered Hollywood.
Yeah.
No, but like The Rock. And I'm thinking like, who can match The Rock for just that pomp and circumstance? And it's like, we got The Rock Hogan, but we never got The Rock versus the other mega power.
I don't have that one.
And just, I think that, like, if The Rock could pull that off against Hogan, and if they could do that with that, having the Macho Man in there, so it's not. It's not just
that should have been WrestleMania 20.
Yeah, it's not just the pomp and circumstance.
WrestleMania 20. Apparently, I remember reading this. Rock wanted Savage at WrestleMania 20 in MSG, New York City, but then they just did like Vince didn't want to bring him back, and that I think is when this whole rumor of Savage banged Stephanie
he must
started. Or that's when people started. That's when I heard about it. It was after that, because that would have been the perfect time to bring Savage back. And he was in Hollywood doing the Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
Against The Rock.
Yeah.
That's a good because like those are. Damn.
Because people forget how well The Rock could go in the ring.
Oh, he's
like,
great.
He was so charismatic.
The Rock's one of the best of all time.
But he could, even if The Rock couldn't talk a damn, he would have been a really good wrestler. Yeah, he wouldn't have been at the same level.
No.
But he would have still been a really good wrestler.
He was a good wrestler.
He knew how to sell. He knew how to bump. He knew how to do moves. And putting him in there was Savage.
Oh, God, it would have been incredible.
Let's be fair. Pick a wrestler. Like, pick bloody Akira Tozawa with Macho Man, and you've got a fantastic pay-per-view.
Savage has some great matches in Japan.
Yeah.
All right, what are we on here? 6?
Number 6.
Okay, this is very similar to one of yours. You did Piper and Punk.
Right.
I've got Roddy Piper versus MJF.
But pretty much the exact same reason.
Pretty much the exact same reason. Just MJF is more of a heel, and I think that could have been interesting. But I think in Piper versus Punk, imagine Piper was the heel. That could have been pretty good too. But I saw an interview with MJF, and he said his dream match was Roddy Piper.
And I can see that.
So the fact that he wants that as his dream match makes me think it would have been special.
I can see that. And I could like you saying that right now. I can hear like Roddy Piper saying like, "Oh kid, you think you're a hot shot, right?
It would have to be that angle.
You think you're this guy that's like breaking the mold. Like I was doing that when you were still in diapers, before you even existed, before your father like ejaculated you out into the world. Like, just you.
Bit graphic, but yeah,
exactly. But like you are just trying to be me, and you're failing.
That's like, what I think. Just the promo. I think it would have been a good match too, because they both old school. They both like to bleed. You know, where could that have happened? Imagine that was back in the old days, Madison Square Garden. Be fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Like because there's these matches that are just like these impossible matches, right? And then,
my other ones actually from here on out could have and should have happened. I know one of them. Well, I guess we can argue either way, but from here on out, they're ones that I wish we technically could have got. Yeah,
I don't know if any of mine would have, because there was also like there were so many times when there was like a match where I was there going like, oh wait, we could have done this, and then I realized like, oh wait, no, probably like when they were in WCW in like '96, like
it might have happened.
They may have done.
Okay, so let's move to that, because I have 3 dream matches that should have been way more than they were.
Right.
But they technically happen. Everyone can, like, the matches are on the network. You can see these matches.
So they're dream matches you can watch, but they're not dream matches.
Yeah, they weren't presented as a dream match. It was before, like, the eras didn't quite match where one guy wasn't ready yet. So, my most obvious one, Randy Savage versus Shawn Michaels. So you can find on the 1992, they did a series of matches in Europe. There's one in Germany that's on YouTube in German, and there's 2 from England.
Yeah,
it's when HBK had just he wasn't even called the Heartbreak Kid. He was like with Sherry. He was the sexy boy, and
so he just put Marty Jannetty through the.
Yeah, that was a few months ago. So he was just starting his heel turn. Savage had just beat Flair, so Savage was working with a mid-card heel, and Savage is winning all the matches. Right. Like they're okay, but Michaels wasn't. He wasn't HBK. He wasn't the Shawn Michaels that he turned out to be.
Right, yeah, no, that would have been... Yeah, because they both hit their... Well, I mean, Macho Man hit his second wind in WCW.
Yeah, if he should have stayed. Like, if he had have stayed, if Vince kept him... Yeah, and I've heard apparently he wanted to have some angle that led to, like, him and Shawn at WrestleMania 10 or in that area, because Savage was still there.
Yeah, because there was this ironic thing, right? That Macho Man was put on commentary because he was too old.
Yeah, exactly.
And he is like... Because they were like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan.
He was 42 when he left. I looked that up. So
because when
Stephanie had just turned 18. Yeah. Savage was 42. Yeah.
Because when Macho Man and Hulk Hogan were being parodied as like the huckster and the Nacho Man for being too old and over the hill. Right. They're both younger than Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar that WWE put as a main event. But yeah, no, that would have been...
Vince had to do it.
Yeah, that would have been a fantastic match.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, my do you have any dream matches that were dream matches that happened that we can't count but should have been bigger?
I'm trying to think.
Like, I got 2 more good ones then.
Right.
Let's go to Randy Savage again versus Bret Hart. Yeah. Because this is one where my 2 favorite guys of all time.
Yeah. Like, that's not one that could have happened. That's one that should have happened.
This should have happened
at Mania.
WrestleMania 9. Yeah. It's like... Did you need to hotshot Bret with the belt? Randy could have had the belt all the way until that Mania. Bret Hart should have won the Royal Rumble. That would have been a shock. Bret Hart winning the Rumble would have been a shock. Right. And then you do the same thing that you do on Randy's first run with Hogan. Yeah. He turns heel at the end of his championship run and goes to Mania as a heel. Imagine him turning on Bret Hart, doing the thing he did to Ricky Steamboat, where he did the elbow onto the guardrail. He could have got Bret over.
Oh, definitely.
It would have been incredible. I'm sad that match didn't happen. You can find it though. It's like Saturday Night's Main Event in 1988.
I mean, to that end, Bret Hart Bret Hart winning the title against Rick Flair in a house show somewhere
in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's just like these are like Bret Hart at that period of time in that year could have had the 3 ultimate dream matches of opponents in that time with Ric Flair, Macho Man, and Hulk Hogan, and none of them happened properly in front of people.
But those guys weren't putting over Bret because they saw him as a. Well, I think Savage would have.
Yeah,
and Flair did. Okay, Hogan was the only one that wasn't going to do it.
Savage would have. Like I remember listening to Cornette talk about when I forget who it was. There was some wrestler that was like the main heel of Cornette's promotion. Okay. And they had Savage come in, and they were like, "Oh, Savage, you're going to beat the guy." And Savage like said to Cornette, like, "Wait, I'm only here for
beating your guy.
I'm only here for one show. Like, I'll lay down for him. You want this guy over, right? This is your big guy, right? Yeah, he's beating me."
Right, Savage. It's not a mark.
Yeah, he knew the system. He knew what it was. It's like it makes no difference to me if I lose a match in Tennessee that no one's.
I'm making the same amount of money.
Right. Yeah.
But like when I leave, this guy's going to be worth more money because he beat me, and no one's going to see it on national TV. So what the hell do I care?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pro.
Exactly.
That's a pro wrestler that doesn't just understand. Like you look at Savage, he's flawless in the ring, but this guy also understood. The business, and it's like I don't have to. Whatever, I don't have to win.
Yeah, if this guy beats me in a show that no one sees, if this guy gets big and is in WrestleMania, I could get a payday because I helped make this guy big.
Yeah, I don't even they don't. It's not part of the storyline that this guy beat me in a barn.
No, but it's like this guy is something that's now drawing money and helping me draw money
because I put him over at the beginning.
Yeah,
I helped him get over.
But Macho Man would have happily put Bret over.
And just that's the spot. That Mania sucks.
Yeah,
and you still could have done Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan as like your semi-main Savage versus Bret. Like fuck, it's so easy.
It would have been fantastic.
You could have done it if you wanted to retire Savage then. Or retire Savage the next year at WrestleMania 10. They could have done that, like a big Savage retirement match. But also, Savage went to WCW. They shouldn't have ever let him go. Imagine the matches you would have got with him through that run. It's ridiculous.
Definitely. The people that came out, like I say, again, that would have been when Shawn
Savage versus Austin, all these. And my other big one, and this is a huge one as a Canadian, a match that we technically got, but not in the way we should have. We sort of alluded to it earlier. Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan.
Right, yeah.
And you can argue it should have happened in WWF in 93. That would have made Bret. But I think it was better, and it would have been bigger, in 98 after Bret went to WCW, because then you've got Bret going against NWO Hogan. And why WCW didn't do that, it's on a random Nitro in 1998. It meant nothing, and I think it's all a ruse, like Bret turns heel at the end. The fact that Bret coming in, he didn't work every WCW or every NWO guy. You could have had Bret Savage, Bret Nash, Bret Hall, build up to Hogan. It's not even your championship match, but it's your main event of a massive... You could have sold out every stadium in Canada with Hulk Hogan versus Bret Hart.
Yeah.
You could have gone across Canada in stadium shows with that match in 1998. Like, It's unfathomable how bad they dropped the ball with that. And I remember Bischoff was on this Canadian sports talk show around that time. And he said, like, you got no idea how much money I'm going to draw with Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. And I was like, good. Yeah. Like, okay, I'm happy Bret went to WCW because we're going to get this Hogan feud. And then they never fucking did it. It's a throwaway
the hottest
shit match.
Yeah, the hottest story.
I'm still mad about that.
Everything about Bret Hart and WCW. You have the hottest thing in the history of wrestling, this screw job. And Bret Hart came in as a random special guest referee. And
it was just...
like fast counted a thing, and that was his debut in...
No, it was a whole screw up with the Sting Hogan match. Yeah. Which was like it was a fucking awesome build, and then that match was and the finish was fucked.
Yeah.
And Sting never recovered after that.
Well, that's kind of... Yeah, isn't it? That was WCW's thing, right? Like great builds and terrible
They
payoffs.
screw up the main events.
Yeah.
The rest of the shows are usually good because it's just classic pro wrestling.
The opposite of WWE now. We have terrible builds and then some really good payoffs in final matches.
Yeah, and at least the main events, main events pay off. WCW always had fuck finishes in the main events. They never made sense. So you watch a good show and then you're left with like, why the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. Like, I can't believe we didn't get Bret versus NWO, Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I can't believe it didn't happen.
It's crazy.
It's the one. To me, it's one of the biggest because they did this match, I can't put it on my list.
Right.
But like, you shit the bed and lose that much money, and like pretty much all my other ones from here on out would have made massive money. All right, so we're in the top 5 now, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Right.
My number 5 is another one that is like, this would just be a really, really good match.
Okay.
Of two people that had great charisma, great ring chemistry. They knew what to do. One is someone that you've mentioned already. The other one we've mentioned in passing in the most recent conversation. But it's Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, versus Razor Ramon.
That's weird. Okay, but I know it'd be a good match. That's just you just like to see them combo.
I just like to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Scott Hall is one of the most underrated workers of all time.
It was just me going like, I started this one like as a point of like Razor Ramon, Scott Hall.
You want to get him in somewhere.
Needs to be in here somewhere because he's someone that like, there's an entire generation of talent.
I never thought of this. What about Razor Ramon versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match? That would have been a pretty good dream match. I didn't even think of this. I'm just brainstorming here.
Yeah, that could have been cool. It's like I think there's just so many. Razor Ramon is just one of those workers where so many people you put with him, and
it was just too bad the guy's fucking life fell apart. Like that's all it was. Like he had great matches in WCW. When he came over to WWE, he was too fucked. But you could, if you think of prime Scott Hall, or prime Razor Ramon, imagine the matches you could have got. Daniel Bryan versus Scott Hall. You know that, and you know that Scott Hall would put Bryan over.
Absolutely, definitely. And make him look good.
And no, Daniel Bryan would have made Scott Hall look incredible. Taking all his power moves.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where like, I love this match, but this lineup is also, Daniel Bryan needs to be on this list. Razor Ramon needs to be on this list.
To be honest, I think the way that I would, if I'm thinking of the best eras of them, I would have wanted late 90s NWO Scott Hall versus current Bryan Danielson, AEW Bryan Danielson.
Fair enough.
I think that'd be fucking great.
Yeah, I think that could be. But even now, like with the whole, I can imagine that right now. That like with the whole Forbidden Door, having a Scott Hall do his step over the barrier and be like, "Yo," like do exactly what he did with. His
and Daniel Bryan's the guy he targets.
Yeah, his first show of AEW being like "You know who I am," and once again, you don't know why I'm here.
And he wants Danielson.
Yeah,
that's great. I'd like that one. All right, my number 5, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh, the match that we should have got.
Well, the match that Austin walked out on. Yeah. So this one, okay. So all of my matches.
Do you want the match that you walked out on?
No. The a proper build up.
Okay.
There's so many different spots that this could have happened if Austin was healthy.
Do we still have the walkout as part of the build up to this?
Maybe. Why not? Like that could be built in part of the story. But by that time, you would have had to do that at WrestleMania 19. Austin wasn't really very healthy. So you would imagine a healthier Austin. Like imagine he had taken a few years off, got healthy, was ready to come back. Like one of those early WrestleMania 23, 22, in that range. Imagine Austin had to come back then. Then I think, and post Brock being in UFC would have been the money. Because that's where Brock really became a bigger star, right? Like post UFC Brock versus healthy Austin.
Yeah. Oh no, it would be.
That's crazy, and they both said they wanted that. They knew that that'd be money. Yeah. Austin versus Heyman on the mic too.
Yeah.
Heyman taking a stunner.
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
I could see that. That's
great.
Yeah, it would be chaotic, right? It would just be chaos.
But as a wrestling match, though, too.
Yes.
I remember Austin saying he would want it to be like a Texas death match.
Right.
Who cares? Austin Brock, print money, sign me up. You do and you know what? That's a match where no matter how many times you do it, it doesn't matter who wins. I want to see them both win at different times.
Yes. No, it could happily because there'd be so much chaos to it that like it's not. No one's getting hurt by losing. No,
and you could do that match in so many different ways, right? Like who goes over, what type of match it is. I think those two would have just been magic.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but
I've always wanted that match. That was. I remember thinking like, could it happen? I remember like WrestleMania 23 for some reason seemed big to me. I knew it was at Ford Field in Detroit. Right. I'd been there. I thought, WrestleMania 3 was massive. Imagine they make 23 amazing.
Right.
It's back in Michigan. Like, if it had have been Austin versus Brock, I would have gone to it.
Right.
Like, I've been to Detroit. Wasn't that far from where I lived. I could drive there in a couple hours. But that Mania just didn't do it for me, so I didn't go. But if it had been Brock Austin, I'd have been down there. Absolutely.
Okay. So my number 3. No, number 4. Sorry, it's number 4 now, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So my number 4. This would probably, if I'm being honest, would probably be the worst wrestling match on my list.
Okay.
But the spectacle of it would be amazing.
Like train wreck spectacle, you mean?
No, like the spectacle of like the visuals you could get. Like
the entrances,
like you just mentioned WrestleMania 3. And WrestleMania 3 is famous for that one lasting image, right? Even though you had great matches and whatever else, there's one...
The Hogan Slam.
Yeah, the one Hogan Slam. And I'm just there going, replace that slam with an attitude adjustment. John Cena versus Andre the Giant.
Oh, okay.
Like, just that thing of just having someone who is not just Hogan strong, but Cena able to go. And if you have Andre a few years younger, where he's still able to sort of go, just having that thing of like, because I think Cena would have been able to get him up there.
Yeah,
right?
probably. If it's
Cena. Yeah, but you say because it's Cena. Like, imagine at that time, like having Cena turn up and just doing that to Andre.
In 1987, rapping as a like a white rapper in 1987. I don't think it would have worked.
He doesn't need to rap.
But we had Hogan. Hogan was better than Cena. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cena, Andre. Yeah, but like I've seen Cena Big Show. What's the difference? I
don't know. For me,
I don't love the big giant guys. Like I like big guys like Vader and Bam Bam and the big guys that can go. The big giants.
I get that. This is the one match on my list that isn't going to be a 5-star.
It's not. It's not good. It's bad.
It's not bad. It's a spectacle.
It's bad.
It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
Wrestling is about spectacle.
I'm crushing you on this list. Ziggler and Mr. Perfect. That's a good match.
Ziggler and Mr. Perfect is better than like 5 or 6 of these.
Oh, come on. Every match I have is a main event on a WrestleMania. Your match might get on Rampage.
You want a retired UFC fighter to fight a guy with a broken neck at WrestleMania 23.
At that time, if Austin was healthy, if he came back and could go, takes a few years off. Shawn Michaels came back from a broken back. Austin was only in his 40s then. Brock after UFC, that's when he has the most cachet. That's when he's the biggest money draw. What are you talking? That's WrestleMania 23.
So now you're talking about the money. You're not talking about the quality of the match. Now you're putting my argument back at me.
Your argument that
Cena and Andre would make all the money. Cena and Andre would be the spectacle.
Okay, Brock versus Austin is way better than that.
I don't know.
Bigger money, better match.
I don't know about that.
John Cena versus Andre. It's okay. You can also watch WrestleMania 20 and see Cena versus Big Show, and it's kind of the same.
Yeah, and now I want to see him wrestle his dad.
All right. What are we on here? 4?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a feeling you're not going to think this is as big as it is. Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's in a few of these because as much as Austin was the biggest draw, he shit the bed on a few big dream matches during the end of his run.
Right.
He didn't want to work with people. He could have had this match at WrestleMania 18, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hulk Hogan.
Right. Okay.
And there was a few times it could have happened. You could have done it.
That was the plan, right?
Apparently, yeah. And then he didn't want to work with Hogan, so then they gave him Scott Hall, and then Rock got Hogan. But there was a few other times, and you can listen to a podcast that Hogan does with Austin, and Hogan says that as a heel, he was thinking about all the guys he could work with. Austin was a guy he knew he could have made money with. Why they didn't just... it even bugged me at the time sitting there that watching this great Rock Hogan match, and then they turned Hogan babyface at the end of that match. I was so mad because I wanted an NWO run.
Right.
We're going to get Austin Hogan. That should have been... why don't... Sometimes I think with wrestling... Bookers overthink things, and they're like, we're already making money, so why would we do this amazing thing? Let's save that until we need it. And then you end up it never happening, and what you gave wasn't that good. What we got wasn't that good. So Austin versus Hogan, in a few ways, I would have preferred it with Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Do you think that match would have worked so well with Attitude Era Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Red and Yellow Hogan? I don't know if it would have worked as well.
No, because at that point, Austin could never be heel again, right?
Yeah, it was.
And you can't really do
heel Austin versus face Hogan back in the 80s isn't like it's not a big match. It's just a match.
Work. And you double check. We never got. I assume because I would have heard of this. We never got there wasn't any crossover with stunning Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan in
they were in WCW.
Or
I don't think that match ever happened.
Never happened.
It
would have just been Hulk Hogan going straight over the top of.
I don't think it ever did. I'll definitely look it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I feel like that would be a piece of trivia that existed in my head.
Yeah,
right.
Austin Hogan. There was different rumors. WrestleMania 22. There was a rumor when Austin went into the Hall of Fame. Apparently, they were making comments. There was that one Raw where Hogan came out with Mean Gene and said he wanted to have a match with Austin. So Hogan always wanted it. It would have been fun to see Austin come back in that early 2000s era against that version of that older red and yellow Hogan. The crowd would have been split. Just the fact that we didn't get it. You could have done it in many different ways. Too bad we didn't get it.
It is a shame. It would have been a big match.
You know, one of the other interesting things is I think it was in 1999. Hogan's contract with WCW went up and he actually negotiated with Vince. So there was a time in '99 where they thought of bringing Hogan back. I heard one thing, they were going to put him in DX. That's one of those things you hear and you're like, that never would have happened. No. But imagine Hogan had to come back in the Attitude Era, and anytime you put Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hulk Hogan, take my money. Even if it's not a great wrestling match, it's going to be good.
Yes, it's that would have been interesting. Would they have tried to give him some sort of NWO? Is that why there's this thing of DX to be we'd have to have picked two other
Who
guys?
Who knows? This is one of those. These are those things you hear.
Yeah.
I think it was fucking Bruce Pritchard saying this, and he's a fucking moron. Nothing. He doesn't. A true word doesn't come out of his mouth.
Yes. No, there's that one and the Brock one with Steve Austin.
Yeah.
I see both of them, and I think for me there's that thing of I have this black hole in my wrestling. We all have. Everyone that's watching wrestling, everyone that's hit
has black hole.
Has really, that period of I didn't watch wrestling because either I decided I was too adult for it, or I couldn't get to see it, or I ran out of patience.
Yeah.
So my period where I couldn't watch wrestling was literally January 95 to January 2000.
Okay.
So the big thing I missed was the rise of Steve Austin.
Yeah. So you're missing a lot of these things that I was on board for that.
So when I left wrestling, Steve Austin wasn't a thing, and when I got back, he was just this annoying guy that pissed off because he had to lose to Brock Lesnar and made everyone say what.
I can see why you wouldn't like him as much.
Yeah.
Because that what thing was ugh.
Yeah, so I have this.
The worst part of his career.
I'm the one guy who's a massive wrestling fan, and the only era I never watched was the Attitude Era. I watched all the other eras.
You're not going to like my number one then.
Oh, dear. So, number 3. You're going to like my number 3, I think.
All right.
This number 3, when we're talking about where we would put this would be at your Toronto Maple Dome, or whatever you call it. This would be the biggest thing right now of, best, most popular Canadian wrestler of the 90s.
Okay.
Versus not the most popular or biggest Canadian wrestler of now.
Bret Hart versus Kenny Omega?
No. But it is KO.
Kevin Owens versus Bret Hart.
I just think that's I was there going Bret Hart versus a Canadian, and I went through different ones, and I was just Owens. What Owens did with Steve Austin just this year.
Yeah,
and it's just
he's just not an all-time great for me. It's the way they push guys now. That'd be a great match, but to me, Kevin Owens is not in any dream matches, especially against these guys that I have on this list. This is an elite group.
Yeah,
Kevin Owens looking like any backyard wrestler.
Yeah,
he's not on that level.
I get that. I just get this idea of
I like him.
If we live in an alternate universe where Bret Hart didn't get kicked in the head and stuff,
we would have got that match on Raw.
Yeah,
and it'd be a good match.
But just this idea of Bret still refuses to come back to WWF for the different reasons, and then you have an event in Montreal. Kevin Owens comes out and shouts down, "I'm ashamed to be Canadian, even though I'm French Canadian, whatever else." And then the Bret Hart music.
It sounds great, especially in Montreal. Bret versus Kevin Owens could have been good. Dream match. Meh. But in Canada though, it would have sold out.
I just feel that's my last one where I've got a wrestler that isn't the top tier, anyone that knows wrestling.
My number 3 is a match we should have got. Top tier, 2 top tier guys. should have happened, and the backstory is great. The Rock versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I was really close with that one.
Because the backstory on this is that when Rock first came in, it's when Shawn was doing, when they were just starting DX. Apparently Shawn was such an asshole. Triple H and Rock had a lot of heat too. HBK versus The Rock. I wish that was the match at WrestleMania 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Any of those years, 21, like, we should have somehow got The Rock versus HBK.
Yeah, because you would have got basically The Rock versus Triple H, but better. Right? That's what you'd have got from it.
Yeah. Like why did you... They didn't think Benoit was a big enough star, so they made that triple threat match at WrestleMania 20. I think even WrestleMania 20, it has good moments, but they missed out on a classic match.
Yeah.
Rock versus Savage or Rock versus HBK. Why the fuck Vince didn't do either of those?
It's just, I feel like...
It's maddening.
I feel like there's a part of it is that...
They
obviously there's a thing of like, he didn't... also...
Part-time guy, they wanted to make sure that the guys that are there... I hear this argument all the time, but it's like, also, if you bring back a guy who's a star, the guys that aren't stars, that are workers, part of your company, they don't get the main event spot. Get over it. You're bringing a star back to make the show bigger and draw money.
I get that. I think the other thing for me is with that would be if you brought The Rock back. If this is like when The Rock is sort of Hollywood Rock at this point, and you bring him back, not in the ring, but in the build-up, The Rock would have just eviscerated Michaels.
I don't know. Shawn could cut good...
He could cut good promos, but The Rock is something else.
Yeah, The Rock could have destroyed him, but Shawn, if he was getting... If Shawn turned back into that cocky old Shawn, I'm sure he could have hit Rock with some stuff. Like, you're a good talker, you're the guy they wanted, I'm the guy that got over because of what I do in the ring. You can't hold a candle to me. You're good because you talk. I'm good because what I do as a wrestler. Shawn, imagine they both kipped up at the same time. Because they were the only guys that did it. I always thought that would be... Like on video games, if I play, I always try to get to... I build up to Rock versus Shawn.
Right.
I think that, to me, that's just... Both the size of the guys, that match would have been bonkers.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love it. I think it would have been great.
That would have been a fantastic match. Yeah.
That's a WrestleMania main event. That's...
Definitely. Any WrestleMania main event. Yeah. So my number 2... is stealing someone you've just mentioned in your last match.
Okay.
So I got HBK.
Okay.
But this is if HBK was around and at his best right now. This is the wrestler on the roster right now.
Who's the best HBK to you?
Who's the best HBK?
Is it that
it's
early 2000s comeback HBK? He had the that's when he arguably was his best in the ring.
It's HBK versus Chris Jericho, HBK versus Kurt Angle.
That era.
That period.
Yeah.
Like when he just was free of demons, free of drugs, just at peak.
But that old Shawn Michaels was fun too, though.
Oh yeah.
The Shawn with demons.
WrestleMania 10 Shawn Michaels is also a special.
Yeah, I even like that. Before WrestleMania 14, that heel Shawn, like
he was good for.
So who is it? Shawn versus
Rollins.
Shawn versus Rollins. It'd be good. In a good match.
Yeah,
Rollins just doesn't do it for me.
I think that would be because there's that. I just
his
think
character's not iconic enough. It's too forced. Everything's contrived.
Yeah,
it's meh.
I like what Rollins does in the.
He's a good wrestler.
And I like what Rollins is doing.
He's a good wrestler, but if there was real superstars like the guys that are on my list, Rollins is a mid-carder, lower mid-carder on the cards with these guys. He's not on that level. Good worker.
For me, if you had. If Shawn Michaels is still able to go in 2022, which he isn't, like having basically him doing exactly what Cody's doing with Rollins, like that
it'd be a good match.
I just think it wouldn't just be a good match; it would be one of the best matches of all time.
Okay.
Do you know how good Seth Rollins is in the ring?
He's too annoying. Who cares? He's not a draw. It's that match. It'll be a good wrestling match.
Yeah.
But half the time, dream matches you have to have build. Dream matches have to be about more than just the match. You always shit on me when I say how Benoit's so good. Benoit had no personality. He was
Benoit
a mechanic.
Has no personality.
Yeah, but he had good matches. Fucking Seth Rollins is better than Benoit.
In pretty much every department.
God, you're such a mark.
says the guy who's like my fellow Canadian. Is Benoit Canadian? He is Canadian.
He is Canadian.
Yeah. I don't know. He didn't talk enough for me to see the accent. Anyway,
right.
HBK versus
Hey,
Seth Rollins.
that's a dream- what a dream match.
A better match than whatever you're about to say. If there were two bingo holes right now around the corner, one was advertising HBK versus Seth Rollins, and one was advertising
My next match. Okay.
What's your next match? The Ultimate Warrior versus King Kong Bundy. They're big names. They're Hall of Famers. They are absolutely. You queue round the corner to watch Big Fat Man versus Big Gas Man. That's exactly what I'll see.
I never liked two big fat guys. You picked Keith Lee and Vader as one of your dream matches.
Those two would have gone like half an hour.
It's too fat. It's not a dream match. It's a match that could have
You've got Brock Lesnar breaking Vader's neck.
That's entertaining. Those are two main event guys.
God,
Like,
I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So Okay.
So your
what
lesson
you
number
said?
2.
It's on your marquee. It's
Yeah.
Seth Rollins versus HBK.
Exactly.
And you think it's going to sell out mine. My number 2 is Bret the Hitman Hart versus Kurt Angle. Who are you going to see? I win. I win for sure. Seth freaking Rollins. What's this? Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart. Mic drop, bitch.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That would be pretty fucking good.
It would be good.
Like, an Angle would have carried all the promos. Like, one of my favorite matches of all time is any match, you name it, Benoit and Angle, Bret and Angle. Fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that would have been.
Seth Rollins. Whoa, I'm going to that one with Seth Rollins is on the card because everyone knows him. You could talk to random people who don't know much about wrestling and they know Kurt Angle and Bret Hart. No one fucking knows who Seth Rollins is.
I'm sorry I didn't be like, okay, the top 10 people that people have heard of.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting one. What match would you rather see? Shawn, if it's on the same night, you can only go to one. Shawn Michaels and Seth Rollins, or Bret Hart and Kurt Angle. Who are you paying to see? We'll let the fans decide who won this one.
Because it's on my paper, I'm still going with HBK and
Yeah.
Rollins.
You're gonna be the only one there. When I got Angle and Bret in my arena.
Anyway.
Main event. This is our number one. This is
number
a dream match of dream matches.
I'm saying my number one is pure like planning be damned, theory be damned, situation, what would be this, what would this. This is just the two people that never wrestle each other that I don't care about your opinion, I don't care about your opinion, I apologize, but this is just for me, my number one. These are the two wrestlers that I would sell my firstborn to be able to watch them even do a 5-minute match that had a run-in and never got repeated again. Like, just to see them in the ring together.
Okay, who is it? You're building this up a lot.
So, guy that I've already mentioned once before, like the most charismatic wrestler of the 90s, in my opinion, the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
Versus, for me, the best all-round Canadian wrestler of all time, which is Edge.
Edge versus Macho Man.
Edge versus the Macho Man. And it's
that's your dream match of dream matches.
Because it purely is my favourite wrestler versus my second favourite wrestler. Like,
okay.
That's the main reason why.
Okay.
Like, it just is.
There's no way it'd be bad.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying if you do top 10 dream matches of all time, Edge versus Randy Savage doesn't really pop up to me.
But for me, that's what it is. If I was doing top 10 dream matches that never happened, and I'm making a theoretical pay-per-view of, then there's 2 or 3 of these that I'd replace with bigger names doing bigger marquee stuff. But for me,
well, I think yours is very marquee.
It's a
your list is very marquee.
Oh dear. But the Macho Man.
Mine's marquee.
The Macho Man versus Edge. I just think that is
great. Yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah.
I love them both.
Go on, tell us fucking Hulk Hogan versus Cena. Go on. Finish it off with a bang.
I don't care. Why would I? I'm not a Cena guy. And no, it's not Hogan. Okay, dream match of dream matches that never happened. And we should have got this. It's one of the biggest fuck-ups ever. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Goldberg. In 2001, when WCW got bought, how Vince... The whole thing was that if he took some of those guys that had the Time Warner contracts, he would have had to pay the rest of their contracts, right? Yes. So only like Booker T and Diamond Dallas Page renegotiated for lower money because Vince didn't do guaranteed contracts then. But if you had brought Goldberg in, Goldberg made like $3 million. Goldberg versus Austin, SummerSlam, you rent Madison Square Garden, you do it in the Garden. Austin Goldberg at that time, that was the match everybody wanted. right? WCW
Yeah.
ended. That's why wrestling went down after WCW died.
So-
because wait a second here. Because you don't live in North America, maybe you didn't even watch this era, right?
Yeah, this is the era I missed.
Everybody talked about Austin Goldberg, right? And they could have done it then. If Vince was willing to pay Goldberg and tell his boys, fuck it, we're all going to make more money, because we're going to do these crazy WCW versus real WCW versus WWF, right? That's when you could have brought Savage, Flair. You could have had all these matches, but Austin Goldberg was the one you wanted.
Yeah.
Goldberg beats Austin in the Garden at SummerSlam. Goldberg gets the WWF belt. The whole thing goes up. The whole thing leads up to the next Mania. It would have been 18, where I was.
Yeah.
Austin Goldberg 2. That's where Austin beats Goldberg. That's where he beats the new. You got to give Goldberg a WWF streak.
Right.
So easy.
Fair enough. Let me ask a question, because obviously, as we've said, this is like, you've gone big on the Stone Cold thing
because he fucked up so many big matches,
and also because he is like the biggest wrestler of all time.
And it's true, but he doesn't have. If you look at classic matches, these dream matches, Austin didn't have them.
No,
it's a shame.
He fought The Rock 3 times. He fought other people 3 times instead of
Taker a million times.
But
Bret at the beginning.
Yeah. So let me ask you, with this match, and I know this is all about the marquee, the thing of like the match that people wanted to see, and the match you wanted to see.
Yeah.
But from a booking point, is Goldberg going over in 6 minutes, or are you making these people wrestle for 20-25 minutes?
You got to do a lot of smoke and mirrors.
Right.
So like, this is where. This whole thing where they were burying Goldberg because they said he didn't know how to work. He didn't know how to work like full-on matches. Yeah. But they should have brought him in to WWF and taught him how to work matches.
Right.
But like, they were making so much money back then. I think it was the feeling of, well, we're making money. Why do we need to like teach Goldberg how to wrestle?
Yeah.
But that's where the fucking money was. So WCW, to do this invasion, and your main event on SummerSlam, it's like Austin versus Angle and Booker T versus The Rock. That's not Austin Goldberg. And like, it was there.
I could see that, because like, if you're
and that should have been the next Mania main event too. Like the next Austin Goldberg 2 should have been Mania 18.
Yeah. I mean, how you say you have like, if it's at Mania 18 and you've got Goldberg versus Austin, then you'll still have Rock Hogan.
Exactly.
Which means Hogan goes on to face Austin and Goldberg goes over The Rock, right? Like,
probably.
Just have those two things still happen.
This whole thing with WCW, I would have always had Goldberg being like, Shane McMahon would have been basically Goldberg's manager. Like, and then you sort of link them the way that Heyman and Lesnar are linked.
Yeah.
I would have linked from the beginning. I bring Goldberg into WWF.
Yeah.
Okay, Shane's your guy.
Fair enough.
So always like, when anytime you need something special, Shane brings back Goldberg. Even after Goldberg's lost, you have always the story device that Shane McMahon can show up and bring back Goldberg.
I think, yeah. I mean,
it's
definitely a spectacle match.
Yeah.
And definitely we looked at this list in a slightly different way. We wanted things to be big spectacles.
Real dream matches that should have happened, would have drawn big money.
You're thinking of dream matches for the millions, whereas I may be thinking a bit more dream matches.
Yeah, you in your basement with your pants off. You're looking at ones like that.
Anyway,
like Keith Lee and Vader. Ooh.
Anyway.
That'd be a weird porn search for you, wouldn't it?
There's a couple of... I know we should have done this a bit earlier, but there's a couple of honorable mentions of things that just missed my list.
Okay.
That I wouldn't mind getting your opinion on.
All right.
So...
judging at how you've done this list, I don't imagine it's going to be very positive, but let's see.
So, Edge and Christian versus the Rockers.
Yeah. Be good.
Yeah.
Why not?
That was like tag team for me. This is one that I think, when you're talking about money stuff, this is one that maybe you would be like, why wasn't this on your list? Because it's the marquee thing.
Okay.
The NWO versus the Shield.
How? Who? What guys?
The original NWO. So Hall
versus
Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose.
Yeah, not bad. I always would have loved to see the Outsiders.
Yeah.
I think this could have been what you did at 18 as well.
Yeah.
Right? So 18 should have been Goldberg and Austin 2.
Yeah.
Hogan Rock, The Outsiders versus DX. Like, I've always... That's my dream WrestleMania,
There's so much stuff that could... Because the thing about this, there's so many wrestlers out there, right?
And those are all storylines. The Outsiders versus DX.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and Triple H versus Hall and Nash.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, the Click, whenever the Click fought each other, right, it was a classic. Like,
it was
even
money.
It was in house shows. It
Yeah.
was just fantastic.
Oh.
And then there was one more thing. There's one wrestler that neither has mentioned, who is one of the best wrestlers of all time. And I was there going like, what's the match? What's the match with this guy? And I couldn't do it. It was Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, Eddie Guerrero and Shawn. That's another one that I didn't... Triple H and Savage was one that, like, I wanted to put it as... I wanted to talk about the rumored story, but I still think WrestleMania 19, Triple H Savage would have been great.
Yeah.
But too bad we did, because Eddie and Shawn should have happened. And apparently they got along backstage too. I think I heard rumors that they were planning to it before Eddie died. Like they were going to get there.
Yeah, I think because Eddie was going to be going to win the title again, right?
I think something like that.
Yeah.
He was going to put over Rey Mysterio. That was always still part of the plan.
Yeah. No, that's it. Because I was just there going like, Eddie, who do I put? But Michaels is a good shout. Eddie Guerrero Michaels.
Yeah.
I think for I kept with the guys that were like post-Attitude Era, like Ruthless Aggression Era, I kept going future from them. I never kept thinking about how about the 90s. So when I was thinking like Eddie Guerrero, when I think about Edge or Angle, I was thinking about who would they wrestle now, and half of them did wrestle people now.
Yeah.
I didn't think about, you've got your Bret Harts, you've got your Owen Harts. Owen Hart we didn't mention. Like,
yeah, I had a few. Like I would have Owen Benoit.
Yeah.
Oh no, we got Owen Benoit in Japan. Owen Angle.
Yeah.
Owen versus Angle, I think would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Owen Brock.
Yeah.
Bret. What about Bret Brock? I didn't even put Bret versus Brock on here. Imagine that.
Definitely, it would have been
Brock. I should have put Bret and Brock.
Yeah.
I was mixing people up because
that's the
I
thing,
can put those guys all the time.
Well, basically for me, it was the fact that, like I didn't want to just write Macho Man 10 times.
Yeah, and you could have, right?
I wanted him to fight.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was a good list.
I thought one of our lists was really strong.
Don't
and
worry,
the other list
if you
was
work on it,
not
if
that
you work
good.
on it, you will improve for next time.
Okay,
You
we'll
know.
see. We'll see. You again lost.
Yeah.
When you do lists against me, Charlie, you ain't going over.
Okay.
You're not going over. You just got squashed.
You and your
to me, this show was a squash.
You and your smart talk, okay? So, I mean, you can tell us what you think, whether you prefer the idea of the matches that sound good on paper with all the big names but would ultimately disappoint.
Draw money and be huge and get all this excitement.
Yeah, versus the genuine dream matches that would be fantastic to watch.
In your basement. Yeah.
You and your basements. But anyway, that's our list. Obviously, there are so many potential matchups, so many things that we've missed out, so many wrestlers we maybe didn't even mention.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
I got the big ones.
Yeah. So if you have any comments, any ideas, let us know. Tell us why I am right and why he's wrong. That's always something that I like to hear. And honestly, like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that we're supposed to say when doing a YouTube video.
Yeah, whatever. I think people know that.
Exactly. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
잘 등장무대는 내 초원이 돼. 난 너의 꿈속에 프레디 꿈 깨는 게 소원이 돼. Click clack and bang bang 난 사랑하듯이 랩해. 내 목표 설정이냐 난 내 가요계 전부 대패. 이 랩 게임 식사는 차차는